What if I told you that most people today aren't living? They're just enduring. Not because they're weak, but because they've surrendered their inner fire. They scroll endlessly, chasing validation. They compare, complain, and call it connection. And yet every night, they lie awake feeling hollow, restless, lost. Comfort has become the silent killer of ambition. The world keeps whispering, take it easy. But the easy path is where strength goes to die. The Stoics saw this truth long before social media existed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That wasn't poetry, it was survival training. The mind is your battlefield. If you lose there, you lose everywhere. Stoicism doesn't promise calm seas. It teaches you to command your ship in the storm. In this training, we'll break down 8 unflinching Stoic laws, tools to rebuild your mind, forge emotional discipline, and awaken the kind of power that no chaos can touch. Before we start, I need you to make a decision, not later, right now. Either you treat this like another piece of motivational noise, or you treat it as a mirror that demands change. Because what you're about to hear isn't for comfort. It's for those who are tired of being soft, distracted, and emotionally fragile. If you're serious about growth, don't just listen, engage. When a truth hits, let it sting. Come on, repeat it, act on it. This isn't background inspiration. It's mental warfare, you versus your excuses. The Stoics didn't sit around waiting for motivation. They trained their minds to move through pain, doubt, and fear with discipline. That's what we're here to do. So if you're ready, lock in, because every idea here is forged from ancient wisdom and tested in modern struggle. 8 Stoic laws, 8 challenges, 1 mission to build a mind that doesn't break. Law 1, make discomfort your teacher. Modern society worships ease. Every app, every shortcut, every new convenience is designed to keep you safe, numb, and untested. But the truth is this: comfort destroys the very muscles that make you strong. Growth begins where comfort ends. The Stoics didn't run from pain. They studied it, trained with it, respected it. Think of your hardest moments, the breakups, the failures, the uncertainty. That's where your real self was forged. Marcus Aurelius didn't find strength during peace. He built it through wars, betrayal, and loss. He learned to stand still while the world fell apart around him. Pain isn't your punishment. It's your forge. Every rejection sharpens your patience. Every obstacle strengthens your will. The Stoics believed that resistance is not an enemy, but a sculptor, carving you into something unbreakable. When you stop avoiding struggle, you stop living small. Every obstacle that frustrates you is secretly a test. The Stoics had a phrase for it: the obstacle is the way. It means that what blocks your path is your path. That cold morning you don't want to face. That painful workout. That tough conversation. That's your training ground. You think you're avoiding pain, but in truth, you're avoiding your own potential. Seneca slept on the floor, ate plain food, and wore rough clothes, not to suffer, but to stay strong when comfort vanished. He wanted to be ready when life stripped everything away. You should too. Because one day, it will, the job, the money, the approval, all of it can disappear. And when it does, your preparation will decide your peace. Discomfort is your ally, not your enemy. It exposes weakness, burns away excuses, and replaces softness with power. From this day forward, don't avoid it. Invite it. Choose one discomfort daily, and do it without hesitation. Repeat this to yourself until it sinks in. Discomfort is my training ground. Every moment you resist pain, you strengthen your fear. Every time you walk into it, you reclaim control. The cold shower, the silence, the rejection, they are not punishments. They are reminders that you're alive, still capable of shaping your edge. The Stoic doesn't chase comfort. He uses discomfort to sharpen his character. Every test you face is a chance to prove your mind is stronger than your impulses. That's how warriors are built, through chosen struggle, through the deliberate practice of doing what others avoid. You don't need to enjoy it. You need to endure it with purpose. So next time you feel resistance, don't retreat. Lean in, breathe through the fire. Because when you can walk calmly through discomfort, nothing can truly threaten you. That's the first mark of an unshakable person, the refusal to run. Law 2, master your emotions or they will master you. Most people think strength means never feeling. The Stoics knew better. It's not about suppressing emotion, it's about steering it. You can't control what hits you, but you can control what you do next. The weak react, the strong respond. How often has anger hijacked your peace? How many days have been wasted because someone else controlled your reaction? Epictetus, who was once a slave, anyone capable of angering you becomes your master. Think about that. Every time you lose your temper, you hand over your power. You're not punishing them, you're imprisoning yourself. The Stoic remains calm in chaos, not because he feels nothing, but because he chooses what deserves his energy. Emotional control isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's knowing that you don't have to attend every battle your ego invites you to. You decide what gets your attention, and that's freedom. You can feel anger without acting in it. You can feel fear and still move forward. That's the difference between being human and being ruled. The Stoic doesn't pretend emotions don't exist. He observes them like clouds passing through the sky. They come, they go, but he remains the mountain beneath them, steady, unmoved. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your judgment of it. That means peace is always your responsibility. When you react blindly, you surrender control. But when you pause, just breathe, you take it back. Try this the next time life provokes you. Stop, breathe, and ask, is this reaction useful? If not, let it go. That's not weakness, that's mastery. And when you start living from that space, your calm becomes your power. In a world addicted to outrage, the one who stays composed becomes unstoppable. Emotional discipline is the highest form of strength because it demands awareness, not aggression. Anyone can lash out, anyone can complain, but few can stand in the storm, breathe, and choose their response with precision. That's real dominance, mastery over self, not others. When you stop reacting to every offense, you become unpredictable. People can't shake you. Circumstances can't bend you. You stop being a puppet pulled by emotion and become the one holding the strings. That's what Epictetus meant when he said, "True freedom lies within." You decide how much of yourself the world gets to touch. So when anger rises, breathe. When fear whispers, step. When sadness weighs you down, move anyway. Control doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you are guided by purpose, not mood. The Stoic mind is like a sword, still in its sheath until needed. Then swift, clean, and exact. Law 3, stop expecting life to be fair. The fastest way to weaken your spirit is to believe that life owes you balance. It doesn't. You can give your best and still lose. You can love deeply and still be betrayed. You can do everything right and still end up hurt. Fairness is a story we tell ourselves to feel safe. But the universe never promised justice, only consequence. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire surrounded by corruption, loss, and death, yet he never complained. Why? Because he understood a brutal truth. Expecting fairness is a form of entitlement. The Stoic doesn't waste energy asking why something happened. He focuses on what now. That shift changes everything. When you stop demanding fairness, you stop being a victim of it. You grow stronger. Call me. Be more prepared. The goal isn't to make life fair. It's to become so resilient that unfairness doesn't break you. Look around. Good people suffer. Lazy people win, and life keeps moving. That's not tragedy. That's reality. The Stoic accepts this not out of pessimism, but power. Because when you accept life's chaos, you stop wasting time fighting what you can't fix. Seneca once said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." He didn't say that to sound noble. He meant that existing with dignity in an unfair world takes strength most people never build. The weak get bitter, the wise get better. So, when something feels unjust, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "How can I respond with honor?" Use pain as fuel. Use betrayal as training. Use disappointment as proof that you're still standing. Life isn't fair, but it's honest. It exposes who's fragile and who's forged. Choose to be forged. When you release the need for fairness, you gain freedom, because the moment you stop expecting the world to be kind, you can finally focus on being powerful. The Stoics didn't sit around wishing for justice. They built inner order. They mastered their reactions, their principles, their perspective. That's how they stayed unbroken in an unjust world. Modern life teaches entitlement. You deserve it. Stoicism teaches endurance. You can handle it. One makes you dependent, the other makes you dangerous. Strength isn't about control over events. It's about control over yourself when the events come. So, don't cry for fairness. Train for reality. Stop expecting easy paths or instant rewards. Instead, let hardship be your sharpening stone. Every moment of unfairness is a chance to prove your integrity, your patience, your will. You can't make life fair, but you can make yourself fierce. Law 4. Control what you can. Release what you can't. Most people drain their energy trying to control everything except themselves. They worry about opinions, outcomes, timing, and luck, all things beyond their reach. Then they wonder why they feel powerless. The Stoics saw through that illusion. They drew a hard line between what's within your control and what isn't. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." That's not passive acceptance. It's strategic focus. You can't command the wind, but you can steer the sail. You can't make people respect you, but you can live with such discipline that respect becomes irrelevant. When you understand this, anxiety loses its grip. You stop trying to fix the entire world and start mastering the only world that truly matters, your inner one. That's where freedom begins. You can't control how people treat you, but you can control how long you let it affect you. You can't control the market, but you can control your preparation. You can't control traffic, weather, or fate, but you can control your patience, your effort, your composure. That's where your real power lives. Most people are exhausted not from doing too much, but from fighting battles that aren't theirs. They try to bend reality to their will and break when it doesn't obey. The Stoic doesn't waste energy like that. He acts where action matters and lets go where it doesn't. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Next time you feel overwhelmed, stop and ask one question. Is this within my control? If yes, act decisively. If no, release it completely. That single practice can turn chaos into calm, because the one who controls himself controls his world. Imagine you're caught in a storm at sea. The fool screams at the sky, demanding calm. The Stoic tightens his grip on the wheel. He knows he can't stop the storm, but he can steer. That's how you must treat life. Stop shouting at circumstances. Start steering your response. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. That's your compass. Every distraction that pulls you off course is a test. Can you stay centered while the world spins? Most people drown in worry because they're fighting the wrong enemy. The battle isn't out there. It's in here. Your thoughts, your reactions, your focus. Control the controllable, let the rest burn away. That's how peace is built, not from changing the world, but from mastering the only thing you truly own. Your mind. You can't stop the storm, but you can stop yourself from panicking in it. That's what Stoic control really means. Not power over circumstances, but over your reaction to them. Most people waste years fighting the wind instead of mastering the wheel. They confuse worry with action, emotion with effort. But the Stoic moves differently. He acts with intention and releases everything else. This discipline gives you an edge no one can take. While others drown in frustration, you stay composed. While they're anxious about tomorrow, you stay focused on now. You're not blind to chaos. You're simply unmoved by it. The more you practice this, the more you realize how few things truly deserve your energy. Control what you can, accept what you can't. That's not surrender, it's strategy. That's how you stay calm when others crumble. Law 5, train harder than life requires. In a culture obsessed with comfort, self-discipline becomes your greatest weapon. Most people only act when it's easy. The Stoic acts especially when it's not. They didn't wait for pain to find them. They sought it. On purpose, to build unshakable will. Seneca wrote, set aside days to eat little, wear rough clothing, and ask yourself, is this what I feared? And that wasn't self-punishment. It was self-preparation. When you practice voluntary hardship, you remove fear from the unknown. You've already met hunger, fatigue, boredom, so they can't surprise you. That's why modern weakness spreads so easily, because no one trains anymore. But you fast to sharpen restraint. You wake up early when your body says no. You delay pleasure to prove mastery over yourself. Hardship isn't suffering, it's rehearsal for the storm. Every time you choose discomfort on purpose, you steal power back from the world. You're no longer a prisoner of ease. You're a builder of strength. The Stoics didn't rely on motivation. They relied on preparation. They understood that luxury softens the edge, but struggle sharpens it. So, train your mind to meet resistance with gratitude. Take the stairs when you could take the elevator. Skip the indulgence you can afford. push yourself when nobody's watching. Each act of chosen difficulty rewires your identity from fragile to formidable. You stop asking, "Can I handle this?" and start declaring, "I'm built for this." The modern world sells comfort as happiness, but real happiness is knowing you can survive without it. The man who practices hardship doesn't fear the storm. He's already walked through it. He's calm, ready, and lethal. Most people crumble the moment life removes their comfort. They've never practiced hunger, boredom, or fatigue, so when life gets real, they break. But the Stoic has already met hardship face to face, by choice. He's fasted, trained tired, endured silence, faced failure, and learned to move without applause. That's why he doesn't panic when difficulty arrives. The modern man seeks luxury. The Stoic seeks readiness. Because true peace isn't built on comfort, it's built on capability. Every voluntary challenge builds your mental armor. Every sacrifice sharpens your edge. You stop fearing what if, because you've already tested yourself against it. Hardship reveals truth. You don't rise when things are easy. You rise when everything inside you says stop, and you keep going. Train harder than life demands. And when chaos strikes, you'll already be stronger than it. The Stoic doesn't chase comfort. He uses resistance as fuel. Every act of discipline, no matter how small, is a declaration, "I am stronger than my impulses." That's why voluntary hardship isn't punishment. It's practice. It's the sharpening of your will before life forces you to use it. When you fast, you remind yourself that hunger won't break you. When you train in exhaustion, you prove that effort isn't dependent on mood. When you sit in silence, you realize you don't need distraction to feel whole. These are not random challenges. They're rehearsals for resilience. Marcus Aurelius faced plague, betrayal, and war. Yet he wrote with calm because he had already trained for adversity. That's your model, not avoidance. But anticipation, because when hardship comes, it won't find you weak, it will find you ready. Law 6, detach from results. Obsess over the process. Modern ambition is built on obsession with outcomes. Likes, status, followers, praise. But the Stoic knows that fixation on results is the surest way to misery. You don't control results, only your effort. You can't command outcomes, but you can command consistency. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding what lies beyond our control." When you chase results, you chase illusion. When you master your process, you build reality. The gym, the grind, the craft, these are not means to validation. They are the path itself. Because once you tie your worth to outcomes, your peace becomes fragile. But when you tie it to effort, your power becomes endless. Do the work. Not for applause, but for pride. Not for victory, but for virtue. That's the Stoic way. Detach from results. It's not surrender. It's strategy. The more you cling to outcomes, the more control they have over you. But when you fall in love with the process, you win twice, once in growth and once in peace. The Stoic trains without needing recognition because mastery is its own reward. You can't control whether people praise your work, but you can control how relentlessly you improve it. You can't control how fast success comes, but you can control how consistently you show up. Every repetition, every failure, every unnoticed effort is shaping you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it. If you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." Translation: focus on today's discipline, not tomorrow's result. Do the work. Let the rest unfold. That's how the Stoic remains grounded while everyone else chases ghosts. Results are unstable. Effort is eternal. You can lose a reward, but you can't lose who you become through discipline. That's why the Stoic mindset is built on consistency, not outcome. When you stop obsessing over recognition, you start creating from truth, not desperation. Detach from the scoreboard. Detach from praise. Detach from fear. The man who's free from outcome cannot be manipulated by success or failure. He just works, calmly, daily, with precision and purpose. That's what separates warriors from wanderers. Direction without dependence. Fall in love with the act itself. The writing, the training, the focus, the repetition. Because the moment you show up with presence, you've already won. The result is just a shadow of your process. Build so strong that even if the outcome disappears, your confidence remains. When you detach from the outcome, You silence fear, because fear lives in the future, in what might happen, in what might fail. But the Stoic lives here, in the moment of effort. He understands that the process itself is sacred. Each repetition, each attempt, is a conversation with his own potential. Most people quit not because they're incapable, but because they expected fast results. The Stoic expects resistance. He knows mastery takes years, not motivation. He's not working for approval. He's working for alignment. Remember this: you can fail 1,000 times and still be winning if you're consistent, but you can succeed once and lose everything if you tie your worth to that success. Let go of the scoreboard, show up for the practice. That's where power grows quietly and lasts forever. Law 7, remember death. And live fully now. Most people act like they'll live forever, wasting hours on gossip, scrolling through other people's lives, delaying their own dreams. The Stoics had a practice for this illusion. They called it memento mori. Remember, you will die. Not to depress you, but to wake you up. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do." Say and think, that's not morbid. That's focus. When you truly grasp that your time is limited, priorities snap into place. Small irritations lose power. Fear shrinks. Gratitude expands. Suddenly, you stop waiting to live. You start living. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short life, but that we waste a lot of it." You can't control how long you have, but you can control how deeply you live it. Every moment you delay is a piece of your life you'll never get back. Death is the great equalizer. It humbles kings and beggars alike. The Stoic uses this truth as fuel, not fear. When you remember death, you stop waiting for perfect timing. You stop holding grudges. You stop chasing hollow validation. You realize that someday is a myth, and the clock is already running. You say the words that matter. You take the risks that count. You love fiercely. You move boldly. You act like your life actually depends on it, because it does. When you meditate on mortality, you don't become dark. You become awake. You stop wasting hours on distraction and start investing them in purpose. Every breath becomes sacred. Every sunrise becomes a reminder. This could be your last, so live it well. That's not fear. That's freedom. The freedom to live urgently, honestly, completely. The person who remembers death doesn't drift. They move with precision. They don't waste energy trying to please the world because they know time is too short to live in pretense. They choose truth over comfort, courage over convenience. Memento mori isn't about doom. It's about direction. When you know your days are numbered, you stop letting trivial things drain your strength. You stop overthinking what others think of you. You stop waiting for permission. You finally begin to act. Imagine if every morning you woke up aware that this day could be your last. Would you still scroll for hours? Would you still argue over nonsense? Or would you build, love, move, and speak with urgency? That's the Stoic secret. Awareness of death gives birth to real life. The clock is ticking. Don't waste it being asleep. Law 8, seek virtue, not validation. Most people live for approval, chasing likes, applause, and attention as if external noise could fill an internal void. But the Stoic lives differently. He doesn't move for the crowd. He moves for character. Marcus Aurelius said, "Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter." That's the core of Stoic power. Integrity over image. Virtue over vanity. Do what's right. Even when it's hard, speak truth. Even when it costs you, keep your word. Even when no one's watching. Because in a world of performance, authenticity becomes rebellion. You don't need to be admired to be great. You just need to be grounded. Every act of honesty, every moment of restraint, every choice made in silence builds something sacred, self-respect. And when you respect yourself, you no longer need the world's approval. Living by virtue means doing what's right, especially when it's inconvenient. It's easier to lie for comfort, to impress for validation, to conform for acceptance. But every time you take the harder path, you strengthen your soul. That's what Stoicism is really about. Not appearing strong, but becoming unshakable from the inside out. Seneca wrote, "I will govern my life and thoughts as if the whole world were to see the one and read the other." That's a challenge. Live so truthfully that even if your life were public, you'd feel no shame. That's freedom. When you choose virtue over popularity, you lose crowds but gain peace. You stop being a performer and start being a force. The Stoic doesn't chase reputation. He earns self-respect. Because when your values guide you, you can walk alone and still walk tall. In a world built on noise, the Stoic silence speaks louder than any applause. Virtue doesn't need an audience. It builds its own gravity. People might not understand you. They might even mock your standards. Let them. Their approval fades. Your integrity endures. True strength is doing what's right when no one's watching, and especially when everyone's watching, waiting for you to break. You stand firm, not for recognition, but because it's who you are. That's inner power. That's the kind of strength that can't be bought, copied, or faked. So stop chasing likes. Stop bending for acceptance. Your mission isn't to be liked. It's to be legendary in character. Because when you no longer crave validation, you rise above manipulation. The Stoic doesn't need the crowd. The crowd eventually needs the Stoic. If you've followed this far, it means something in you is ready to evolve, to stop living passively, to finally lead yourself. These Stoic laws aren't philosophy for scholars. They're weapons for warriors. They don't promise comfort. They demand courage. Because growth isn't found in ease. It's found in the daily discipline to act when your feelings scream otherwise. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they weren't writing to impress. They were writing to survive, to stay grounded when life collapsed around them. Their wisdom wasn't born from luxury. It was carved from pain. And that's what makes it real. So here's your charge. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for permission. Begin. Right now, train your mind. Embrace discomfort. Master your emotions. Expect nothing. Control yourself. Live urgently. And above all, hold your virtue higher than approval. This is your reminder. The Stoic path doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. It strips away the noise until only truth remains. Strength isn't found in avoiding pain, but in facing it with calm eyes. Peace isn't gifted. It's earned through mastery of the self. You don't need applause. You don't need understanding. You don't need anyone to believe in you. Because once you control your mind, nothing external can shake you. You become untouchable, a force of calm in chaos, a warrior of integrity in a collapsing world. Repeat this to yourself until it becomes your reality. I am becoming unshakable, day by day. If this message lit a spark inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, live it. Comment below. What hit you the hardest? And remember, your discipline is your destiny. Start today. Stay sharp, stay strong, stay stoic. Before you scroll away, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what will you do with what you just heard? Will you let it fade like every other video? Or will you act on it? Stoicism means nothing if it stays in theory. It only transforms you when you live it, when you rise earlier. Speak truthfully, train your mind, and stop running from your own potential. This is your call to action, not tomorrow, not one day, but now. Take one principle from this message and put it into motion today. Because change isn't found in talk, it's built through action. Leave your thoughts and reflections below. Tell me which Stoic law hit you hardest, and how you'll apply it starting today. Thanks for listening. Warrior, you've been tuned into Stoic psychology, where discipline becomes freedom and self-mastery becomes power. Stay grounded, stay strong, and remember, the world doesn't need more comfort. It needs more people like you who are ready to change.